Seton O'Connor.
At the start of the 2023 NFL season, who will be coaching the Indianapolis Colts? Jeff Saturday or other?
Okay, so Paulie late in the show goes, guess the news, NFL news, who got fired. And he ran down 3 coaches. And Josh McDaniels, too soon. Cliff Kingsbury, that may be just a matter of time. And then Frank Reich. And I got the feeling that Jim Irsay, the owner, was becoming a little bit more irascible. Like he was just angry. You know, he said some things about Dan Snyder and the Washington Commanders situation. And, you know, they've whiffed on quarterbacks here. It feels like, you know, that revolving door. Here's another quarterback. They're not going to stay with Carson Wentz long. They're not going to stay with Matt Ryan at all. And now you got Sam Ehlinger going in there, and he's never played before. And all of a sudden, Paulie goes, Frank Reich got fired. And I go, okay, who are they bringing in? Jeff Saturday is an interim head coach. And I went, wait. I said, Paulie, check that and make sure that that's correct, because that doesn't. Jeff Saturday is an analyst on the mothership, and he's never coached. He spent, I think, 13 years with the Colts. And here's Jim Irsay on bringing in a guy with no head coaching experience.
I'm glad he doesn't have any NFL experience. I'm glad he hasn't learned the fear that's in this league. That's because it's tough for all our coaches. They're afraid. They go to analytics, and it gets difficult. I mean, he doesn't have all that. He doesn't have that fear, and there was no other candidate. We were fortunate that he was available, and he has tons of experience. He knows this game inside and out, with relationships with coaches and players, and has been a consultant for us for several years, a paid consultant.
You know, the paid consultant thing seems like a conflict of interest, but we didn't know that until now. But now it feels like, okay, he's been behind the scenes. Has he been behind the scenes and signed off on Matt Ryan or Phillip Rivers, Carson Wentz? I don't know how much input he had, but now you at least know the backdrop. He's been involved, whether on the periphery or not. Here's Jeff Saturday when he got the offer to be the head coach. Coach Saturday.
Yeah, shocked would be an understatement, right? Shocked would be an understatement. So, yeah, we had the conversation, and it escalated quickly. He asked me, my wife Karen, and you know, he said, "Hey, will you go have a conversation with your wife and make sure that you know she's on board?" And
Chris and I knew she's the most important woman.
That's exactly right.
Thank you, Karen.
And so we had the conversation. We talked about it and prayed about it, and then as the day progressed this morning, we finally came to a conclusion. But it was a 12-hour whirlwind.
Okay. You bring him in. He's played the game. He became famous as a center. He was a spokesperson throughout his career. Great quotes. And you know, now an analyst at the mothership. Yes, Eaton?
That doesn't sound like a fellow who was brought in just to hold down the fort for the rest of the season until we find a real coach.
No, it does not.
That sounds like a fellow who's like, can't believe my dreams just came true. I'm going to be the head coach of this team for...
Yeah, I don't think this is I'm just stopping in, because it feels like Jim Irsay is betting on Jeff Saturday. And he even said that in the press conference. You want to bet against this guy? Put your money down. That doesn't sound like you're bringing somebody in to be an interim head coach. And also, and I've said this before many, many times, we feel like, oh my God, that offensive coordinator or that defensive coordinator, he deserves a head coaching job. Not everybody is wired to be a head coach, and not every head coach would be wired to be an offensive or defensive coordinator. There are certain guys who have the personality to be able to handle this. This is a CEO. If you're an air traffic controller, you don't fly the planes. You land the planes. You help them take off. That's what a coach does. Hey, what do I need to do today? Oh, you got to handle this. Hey, what do I do here? You got to do this. That's the interesting part. Yeah, Paul.
Yeah, it felt like Jeff Saturday was surprised, you know, when he's talking there. Like yesterday, my wife said, "What are we doing for dinner?" I'm going to go out and get salmon. Like, can you imagine him talking to an attorney? His wife said, "I'm on with Mr. Irsay. He wants to be the head coach." She must have been just as surprised. The one line that Irsay stood out that said, "I'm glad he doesn't have any NFL experience. I'm glad he doesn't have the fear that's in this league." That sounds like he really didn't like his current head coach for one reason or another.
Well, my follow-up would be, did Frank Reich have fear? What was the fear? What did he have fear of?
Who wants all this data and information and all that crap?
The analytics.
We don't need any of that. That just
No.
makes you scared, knowing things.
But I would want to know, did Frank Reich coach in fear? And if so, what was he in fear of? But you bring in Jeff Saturday, maybe he can handle press conferences, delegate. Does it help the position you played? He's an offensive lineman, but he was the guy who was calling out all the signals there, the blocking schemes. I have no idea. But we get caught up in, well, that guy should be a head coach. Romeo Cornell. No. Charlie Weiss. No. Josh McDaniels. Maybe not. There are certain guys where you go, oh, wow, I didn't think he would be a great head coach. But they are. It's tricky because we tend to look at merit and go, well, you deserve that. And I know people are going to say, what about the Rooney Rule? He's brought in as an interim head coach. That's it. Now, I don't know how it works if he coaches the second half of the season, they're doing well, and they decide to bring him back. Do you have to then do an interview? It'll be a charade. Come on in, and we're going to interview for the head coaching job, but you're not going to get it. That's probably where the Colts are headed here.